My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. of criminal activity, public corruption. Sexual assault and battery by the state. License plate, Melly Speed Shop, 55912 Thomas 3. And that's Melly's Speed Shop. That's also the third party engaging in sexual assault and battery. They're speeding down the street based on consciousness of what it is that I'm doing on my device, and that's because they are indeed gang stalking. And the entity is surrounding me with the audible activity of what is not occurring. There's no train on the tracks, nor would the train on the tracks that you hear on my podcast, that you hear in my videos that I've been documenting for years, especially at the amplified volume, is the product of the Union Pacific Railroad in the first place. It's a public nuisance. So is the plane activity and the helicopter activity, and the entity that's engaging what is stalking with engineered light. This is all manner of what is the entity that's going to be prosecuted for terrorism while they're monitoring, engaging in criminal surveillance. The city, the state, this is the U.S. government's P.O.C. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct while the people of the state, including the government that I captured in video, stalking right here at the intersection by aircraft. Union Pacific is engaging in what is the means of activity creation while the people of the state are pacing all around me, and they're doing so while I'm walking through the neighborhood where Emporia Place is indeed engaged in the pattern of conduct. This is Vine and Emporia, that's amplification. And this is the same pattern of conduct that the Ontario Police Department are engaged in while surveillance is maintained all around me, everywhere that I go, including while the entity uses the channels of interstate commerce, which is the railroad tracks. All right, the sound of the train is not relying upon an actual train being on the tracks. This is demonic. All right, this is P.O.C. The entity is maintaining this train activity inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, which you cannot hear. This is demonic, and it's occurring in that specific environment where the people of the state are speeding down the street while they're monitoring with the entity that's using train activity as a means of audible noise to keep me under surveillance. And that's why I documented all of the license plates that I did. That's why they are published on the internet. And by the way, just as an aside, not really an aside, but an additional note, the entity, every single license plate represents the entity. So even if I got 10 license plates, they're going to be federally prosecuted for gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department, who did engage in what is psychopathic pacing at the Ontario Town Square overnight. They did so at the time that I'm publishing onto YouTube what is another briefcase load of license plates from February 22nd and from February 21st. The times that those are published are the times that the Ontario Police are engaging in psychopathic pacing, stalking, and terrorizing, and doing so while they are aware of my evidence. They listen to my evidence, they monitor my evidence as it's being published, and then they engage in what is recommitting ongoing terrorism. That's at 224 North Euclid Avenue, which is the same pattern of conduct underway right here, as you can see at 260 South Fern. Train activity is interchangeable with helicopter activity in the engineered environment. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:04 a.m. Union Pacific will be prosecuted regardless of the demonic nature of the pattern of conduct. The entity surrounds with train activity. It's a method of noise in the environment, and the entity does so when there is absolutely no train on the track, and it's amplified in volume. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is the entity that is stalking with light. The entity is literally strategically placing itself in the path with regard to stalking with light. This is sexual assault and battery, and it's committed by state or brothers as well. The entity is doing so while they are not by themselves. They're doing so on behalf of the state. All right, this is the same parking lot where the entity is stalking by plane and helicopter, the fake sun setting, rising and remaining over my head at this same venue. This is state or brothers engaging in that, gang stalking with their customers. That's the federal RICO case. She's in alignment with what is my placement at the front door. So this is also alignment as well. These two demons that also know that they're documented, they will engage in routinely doing the same thing every day, especially while they're documented. And it is nothing other than evidence that you're gang stalking. All right, the entities engage in that in the specific environment. They are maintaining light as I walk out to engage in molestation while I am being gang stalked by the employees and the customers that are at the venue of Stater Brothers to engage in the pattern of conduct. These are employees over here. They're engaging in alignment as I walk in. This is what gang stalking is. They're doing so in the path. I documented their license plates already. This is what the entity is doing, surrounding you physically and surrounding you with light, and they do so on the ground while the entity maintains aerial surveillance and surveillance that aids in what is the amplified noise of the train, for example, and sirens is another example of that. This is what they're doing in the engineered environment. Multiple shadows, fake sun, molesting me with that which is engineered light. They're doing so as psychopaths that do not speak to you. And that's going to be relevant to their prosecution as well. 9 David Zebra 424 is the entity gang stalking. This is the entity that's targeting me with impossible light activity while I'm at the square and you are on the opposite side of the road touching with what is not headlights, okay? It's engineer light, it's the means of stalking. This is P.O.C. This is the entity, again, the iteration, the same thing. When you see the impossible light on the brick wall underneath the structure, that's what she's doing, okay? And she's also touching. Her handicap status is based on the fact that she's a psychopath. It's undiagnosed mental illness that I am exposing while I'm documenting the entity. This is P.O.C. They're acting together, the noise and the light, while they're pacing all around, and the government's maintaining plane activity. This is where the entity is acting like, remember, I'm showing you what they're doing while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, But then this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you're flying more west here, why are you feigning like a takeoff right here over the storefront? Because they're stalkers and they're unintelligent. That's the evidence that you're putting together, and everyone looks like the stalker that they are, okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:24. They're stalking me inside of the store, tracking my steps. That's P.O.C., including in the bathroom. It's currently 6:24 a.m.
Okay?
So I just want to be clear, though, because you knew that it was me to come to?
She told me it was you, yes.
She told me it was me. Does she know my name as well?
No.
It's a female?
No, she described you with the hood and the, you know what I'm saying? But
and she said that I'm recording her?
that's what she said. I wasn't
And what
there.
makes her think that I'm recording her?
I don't know. No, not her. Some other lady. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just addressing the issue. If you're not doing it, then there's no problem.
Well, my thing is, I'm using my phone. So that's something where you're going to be using that to approach me and accuse me of stuff every day or something?
I'm not accusing you. I'm just letting you know what was brought to my attention. And I'm just, if you're not doing it, then everything's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that was a weird...
Oh, I would just say that's what they told me, so I'll just...
You're like, Salvador, though, right? Salvador Gomez?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Salvador.
No,
This is P.O.C. and Engineer Light. Salvador Gomez is gang stalking as well, and I documented him monitoring me on my with his phone. So Salvador is speaking to as the entity stop documenting, stop recording. This is the entity that's stalking me with the impossible light. Salvador is going to prison. Salvador Gomez is going to federal prison. He's in Engineer Light communicating a threat which he is a part of. This old fat-faced female, her license plate is... That's the government also that's stalking by helicopter. That's the government that's stalking at the venue in commercial planes. That's the government that's watching me post that unlawful threat onto X right now. And that's the same venue online where they remove my evidence as I document, which they are also aware of. So asking me a question in the environment where you're engaged in surveillance, are you recording me, is the audible activity of a psychopath. And that is spoken in concert with Stater Brothers. Stater Brothers that is monitoring me under the guise of what is, oh, I got a complaint, when they're all speaking and stalking together. So this is the entity that is acting in concert with a third party that comes to the venue. This is how you're prosecuting what is the entity that is targeting you together. The gang stalkers speak as one. They have uniform shared knowledge at the same time. You're dealing with demons, and you're also doing so with regard to the entity that's sharing in the same pattern of conduct. So Salvador Gomez is a documented gang stalker. I'm capturing him monitoring me inside of the store that has Engineer Light flying in the sky, pasted on the ceiling, all over the walls. I'm being molested with Engineer Light, the fake sun rising, the entity stalking me and terrorizing, harassing by helicopter and commercial planes, and the entity doing so with the people of the state that are engaged in sexual assault and battery, the entity that is engaged in what is monitoring inside of the bathrooms, Engineer Light in the hallways for the gang stalking purposes of the sex offenders who pace in and out of the restrooms, harassing and engaging in that pattern of conduct with amplified noise in the restrooms. And this female that is also on video, the serial stalker, who you can see on X, she is literally gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport in the parking lot of this venue, where Salvador Gomez is gang stalking as well, with Frank, with Kia, with Isaiah, with all the rest of the Lupe, all the employees, in other words, that are gang stalking. Their names are on the receipts. You have Quinones, who's the store manager. They're all engaged in the pattern of conduct. So this is the entity speaking, and this is psychotic. When you're talking about gang stalking in the store, you're documenting this is what the entity is doing at the OVITT Family Community Library. Are you recording me? And they're monitoring what's going on my communication device. Okay, you're in the Engineer Light under the fake sun. The entity is stalking me by helicopter while you're pacing around together, and the audible activity with regard to that delusion. So they are engaging what is harassing you in that environment, and as though you are not obviously gang stalking. That is the evidence of mental illness, and that's also the basis of federal prison. That's what Salvador Gomez is going to with regard to threatening me on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. Oh, you can't... first of all, what he stated was, then I just wanted to address the issue. What issue? First of all, as a principal matter, Salvador Gomez and the third parties, all of them in here are gang stalking. That's why the fake sun is over me at 10 o'clock. That's 3 hours from now, while I'm still at this venue. And relevant to what is the audible activity that you just listened to him create with regard to monitoring me. He doesn't know who I am. This third party described me, and this third party is goes to Salvador, and that's the basis of his knowledge that someone told him. He doesn't already know because he's not already gang stalking. That's what's presupposed based on that malicious statement. You're going to prosecute for all of the malice behind what Stater Brothers, because that's Stater Brothers' a statement. I'm going to prosecute Stater Brothers, and I'm going to prosecute the third parties gang stalking at Stater Brothers. The entities engaging in this and systematically Salvador Gomez's gang stalking, that's already a basis of federal prison. This audible activity with regard to a third party, which is a guise under which Starbucks is maintaining surveillance. It's a federal RICO case against Stater Brothers. That's the entity that is engaging in psychotic behavior. Okay, they're all monitoring, and they are all engaged in monitoring me while they're hostile because they're being documented, which they fully are aware of. The entity is engaging in what is, are you recording me? And I'm subject to what is unlawful threat by the government that is maintaining surveillance through the people of the state. And not only that, your back is to me. You're not looking at me. You're not addressing. You act as though you're ignorant about me, about even my presence, including while the entity is stalking by planes and helicopters like it's not happening. And then you're asking questions. Are you recording me? That is, again, the demon possessed that are stalking with impossible light, that are engaging what are stalking with activity coming out of nowhere, maintaining presence in the path, stalking and chasing you. And that is so beyond creepy. These are demons that are engaging in that. This is the entity that is combining what is, first of all, you're already caught, and everyone knows, including the feds, that you're gang stalking, and you're still going by what is an untenable narrative. You can't act like you're not monitoring and stalking and aware of the fact that you're being documented as well, while you are doing so in the specific environment. That light activity inside of Stater Brothers is going to be juxtaposed with the audible activity of Salvador Gomez, who was going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison for that unlawful threat that he communicates on behalf of the Ontario Police. The entity, the Ontario Fire Department, gang stalking me, including in the grocery store, where Salvador Gomez works, systematically monitoring, in furtherance of murder. And then engaging in what is hunting me down inside of the store, where you already know you're monitoring, including knowledge that I'm recording that conversation, which, by the way, you're going to do that because the government is seeking to take your life. So this is the entity, that's the malice behind that. This is on X right now. I published the images of this third party, and it's a threat posed by Stater Brothers, where it's the same thing, it's the same analysis. OVITT Family Community Library, communicating a threat while the gang stalkers sharing and kidnapping with them are pacing inside of the venue, sharing in what is threatening while the Ontario Police are stalking by helicopter at that venue, while the entity is engaging what is molesting me with impossible light inside of that venue, all manner of a threat, including while the people of the state, who are all engaging in surveillance, are then asking you, are you recording me? While you're across the room, by the way. That's the detail. That's what I documented that the other day. But nonetheless, the entity is, and that's just dissecting the facts regarding the circumstances when they make these statements. But under all circumstances, their backs are to you. They're demons. They know what you're doing on your devices. That's part of what I'm revealing about the pattern of conduct. And you're documenting the supernatural and satanic pattern of conduct with tangible evidence. The engineer light is how you know they know what you're doing. The fake sun is how you know they know what you're doing and who you are. The entity that is stalking in concert with the government, that's following you around in planes and helicopters by police, fire, and ambulance, is how you know they know who you are and that they're not private citizens, and neither are you maintaining what is your constitutional right to privacy. This is how you know that you're prosecuting with tangible evidence. But these are demons that know what you're doing and know who you are, and they do so intentionally while keeping their back to you, because that's supposed to suggest anonymity. I'm not concerned about you. I'm not stalking you. Therefore, you cannot prosecute me or document me for stalking you. That's the entity's rationale, and it's delusional. Okay, but that's the government's pattern of conduct. But the entity is doing so inside of the grocery store, and Salvador Gomez is approaching me, and I'm asking him questions. Who is it exactly? And he's saying the lady with the glasses, like I'm supposed to know who that is. And this is me playing their game. I don't know who that is. I'm not documenting you, and you're not gang stalking me, right? So this is me prosecuting them through their malicious pattern of conduct, the ways in which the system operates. But you are assuming that I know who you're talking about, in the same way that that third party is assuming that I'm doing anything that even has anything related to this old fat white woman who is a serial stalker, proven through the evidence already, including while she is paying attention to me, while also at the same time physically conducting. You see in the pictures, she's looking to the left, she's staring at her phone, just like I am staring at my phone. I'm not holding my phone up like, take a picture, stalker. Look over here, stalker. I'm going to take your image. What's your name, stalker? I'm going to report you. None of that is going on. The demons are all pacing around, not saying a word, focusing their vision on the products inside of the store. They're monitoring with the announcement, the PA system, like you can hear, monitoring on my devices while I use the Stater Brothers Wi-Fi. They're all doing so in the engineer light, and I've been documenting Stater Brothers stalking me for years. Light on the ceiling, flying in the air, all over the walls, over the produce, reaching through the aisles. While you are asking that question, you're going to federal prison. And while you are engaging in what is confronting the person that you're conspiring to murder together, while you are making money, the gang stalkers are coming in to keep me under surveillance in the venue. You're going to federal prison. That's an unlawful threat that the government poses through the people. Because of that threat that the target individual is experiencing psychologically, also physically by those that are engaging in stalking them, gang stalking them, you're going to federal prison for that. And then as you walk out, the entity is stalking you by planes and helicopters, following you around, engaging in that. Salvador Gomez is going to federal prison, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that, and the entity is doing so while they are engaging in surveillance on the venue of the internet. This is all manner of psychotic behavior. Salvador Gomez and the third party, whose license plate is, by the way, serial stalker, license 8 Yolanda Nancy Charlie 992, engaging in what is stalking, and Stater Brothers actually calls themselves harassing. These are the tactics of the enemy. And so the flip side to that is, I'm going to document you harassing me with these serial stalkers. And then the serial stalker is engaging in what is asking me a question that you know the answer to, like a psychopath. And then the psychopath is reporting, in air quotes, reporting. They don't report anything. It's criminal summoning by the people. They're not calling the police on you. The police are stalking. Who are you calling? The ones that are sitting over there stalking me with impossible light in the vehicle like Jay Sandoval? That are stalking me under the fake sun like Jay Montez? The ones that are stalking me by helicopter day and night, like I'm documenting, by that same department? Is that who you're talking about? You're going to call on me when I'm not violating the law and I'm documenting you stalking me with that agency? That's why Salvador Gomez is going to prison. Okay, I have him gang stalking as an employee. I have him gang stalking while he's inside of the store. I have him gang stalking while he's in operation of his communication device, stalking in the path while the entity is monitoring. And he's aware of that, and he's taking advantage of what is... it's actually not taking advantage. He's sharing in the ongoing criminal narrative. But a third-party customer is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with the people, and there are a bunch of gang members inside of the grocery store, stalking, psychotic, just like they are in the bathroom, just like they are in the library, just like they are in on the roads and the highways. That's not traffic at the stoplight. They're all stalking at the stoplight. What's the way I can get closest to the target individual? How can I touch them? Let me go to the stop sign. Let me meet them at the traffic light, because that's the entity that is stalking. The entity is engaging in this where they live as well, where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct. So Salvador Gomez is speaking as a state, and he's going to federal prison for threatening me in concert with Mike LORENZ, who relies on this very conduct where the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and you are targeting me, including while you make that unfounded statement. Because someone is using their phone, this is not private. Nothing in the grocery store is private. So first of all, that's an assumption. Second of all, you're talking about what is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. You're literally talking about, even if I were in that circumstance and somebody told me, oh, someone's recording me, what am I supposed to do about that? And you're assuming, and where is it happening now? You're talking about after the fact, people coming with all manner of different types of mental issues, and you're not going to go harass another customer because someone's making an unfounded statement. Salvador Gomez, however, is a documented gang stalker at the facilitating venue in concert with the state. The entity is engaging in what is, and that's what I mean by taking advantage. Even though it's not taking advantage, he's going to prison for that, and there is no realistic narrative. All of these demons are hostile because I document them very heavily. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted. Stater Brothers is prosecuted, in other words. So these are hostile demons. And a third party that's gang stalking has no merit, no credibility whatsoever. That third party, all of them are, but that third party in particular, including the Stater Brothers, those are the two that are engaging in that. Salvador Gomez is coming toward me and referring to somebody with glasses. Who is that? Okay? Again, but for you're admitting that you're gang stalking, who is that with glasses? You're assuming everything. You're assuming that I know who that is. The lady that was in front of me while he was speaking had glasses on, had her back to me, had custody of a phone. Am I making the same ongoing assumption they're recording me? What does that actually mean? And I'm just breaking down what is the operation, how their system operates in the first place. This is an entity that was never supposed to be identified, suspected, and they engage in that sort of targeting. It's targeting while they do that, but that's a method of harassment. And they're doing so as psychopaths that are admitting to engaging in targeting. Any and everything that you're saying under the fake scent, including addressing what is going to be documentation of you stalking in a grocery store, everybody in here is mentally ill. Everyone. And the entities engage in this on behalf of the government. They're gang stalking during mass. They're gang stalking in the bathroom inside of this venue. And I mean a Catholic church by mass, and I mean inside of the restroom. And they're gang stalking inside of Starbucks, at any fast restaurant, through the drive-thru. Their means of stalking me are desperate and far-reaching. This is why you have gang stalking airlines. Everything that you're stating is serving that criminal pattern of conduct. While they're stalking inventory, they're stalking me with noise and engineered light. That's how psychotic Salvador Gomez is while he's making that statement, which is disingenuous. It's the elements of monitoring. He's walking toward me and away in engineered light. He's doing so under the fake sun, which are already captured. This is the entity that's going to be in court. Salvador Gomez is today conducting himself and speaking as though he's not going to be in court, but he is, and he's going to federal prison. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that, and you're going to continue to document. You're not going to stop documenting that. The entity is engaging in, you're going to document what is an unlawful threat, and they're, by the way, they're gang stalking right now, every single last one of these employees, while they're making money. It's a federal RICO case. And the federal RICO, it's relevant to what is the racketeering subject. It's conspiracy to murder. It's harassment by the government. It is the entity that's engaging in domestic terrorism, the unabated program is psychological torture, stalking by the government, and stalking vicariously by the government. That's relevant to the domestic terrorism. The entity that's engaging in the perpetual sex offense, the molestation with impossible light, that's relevant to the racketeering, the ongoing criminal acts that's committed with regard to the RICO case. You're literally going, the RICO case is the terrorism that Stater Brothers is engaging in and facilitating, including while a third party is your basis of approaching me regarding my documenting him, Salvador Gomez, and every other employee and Stater Brothers. While I'm documenting Starbucks, I'm documenting Stater Brothers. While I'm documenting OVITT Family Community Library, I'm documenting Stater Brothers. While I'm in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens before I came back to Ontario, California, I'm documenting Stater Brothers. Salvador Gomez's statement is entirely malicious, and it's relevant to mental illness. While he is a vagina monitor, and he's engaging in that pattern of conduct on behalf of a police department that has conspired my murder, has lied about the fact that I'm alive, because they conspired my death, but they also engage in what are trying to steal from me, and lying about the fact that they don't know where I'm at, while they are acting in furtherance of that criminal purpose. This is why Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, etc. are going to prison, but so are the people of the state. I want to be clear. I already documented the serial stalker. She is indeed going to federal prison. Her license plate is 8 Yolanda Nancy Charlie 992. She is present in the path. The entity is engaging in what is stalking, and these are demons. So they're very detailed, and they're very diligent regarding the ways in which the moment in time, the demon possessed people that they use and the methods that they employ. Literally what I speak to, the demons engaging in real time, etc. But that's not getting to intelligence. I've shown how unintelligent and disorganized that they are. Okay, so do not confuse that with being a formidable adversary. They're just numerous. Okay, but all the numerosity is that which I'm going to use to prosecute. That's why you're going to prison for terrorism. That's how numerosity comes into play. You are not, under any circumstances, intelligent gang stalking and doing the things that the entity does. All right, this is the prosecution for conspiracy. This is gang conduct, group conduct. This is terrorism. And these are the tactics employed by a third party that is profiting off of surveillance, headquartered in San Bernardino, California. And they're engaged in this pattern of conduct in Ontario, California, in concert with this fat face, cursed womb, this Caucasian female that's gang stalking me, and is doing so psychotic, asking questions that you know the answer to. That's the state asking the feds, are you prosecuting me? And the state knows very well that it's being documented because of the nature of the crime surveillance. And which you already know, that they're demons. So since you like to pose questions that you know the answer to, not because you're engaging in some sort of Freudian method, it's not because of intelligence, not because you're engaging in what is the tactic of an attorney that doesn't ask questions that they don't know the answer to. It's not a strategy. It's the entity that is failing and being any sort of persuasive innocent bystander. That's the conduct of a delusional psychopath who is already surrounded with the evidence that is prosecuting you, that's already complete. So now when you're speaking as somebody that's not eating their feces, when everyone sees the feces under your nails, all over your hands and your fingers, all over your mouth, all over your face, you even got some on your clothes, and you're denying the fact that you're eating your feces, you're being diagnosed with it. It is not suggesting, nor is it evidence relevant, nor is it reasonable, and it is not going to actually be utilized with regard to assessing innocence. It's not rebutting the fact, oh, I'm not, no, you are, it's already proven. You're going to prison and you're being diagnosed with that. And that's Stater Brothers speaking. That's every third party speaking. They're pacing all around in the parking lot. They're following with the fake sun. The entity is following AMR engaging in criminal summoning, the Ontario Fire, the Ontario Police Department, stalking him on at the Ontario International Airport, and Salvador Gomez makes that statement in concert with the people of the state who are threatening me while they are stalking in a grocery store, as psychopathic as it gets. This is why gang stalkers are being federally prosecuted, and they're simultaneously being identified as a mentally ill population that poses a threat to the American public. They are in need of martial law, and the evidence is establishing that. This is an unprecedented basis. This is the creation of a basis to employ martial law, which again, the president, the military are able to use. And this is not me wanting that. This is just the reality of what the entity that's gang stalking, what the U.S. government has done to itself. All right, but this is the basis based on the implications of what the entity is doing through a store, through a community, through a city, through a county, through a state, a population. All right, it's currently, like I said, 8YNC 992 is speaking and threatening in concert with Stater Brothers. Don Quinones is the terrorist leader managing these gang stalkers that are working at the venue, vendors that are engaging in business with Stater Brothers, gang stalking me at the venue, surrounding me, doing so in the Engineer Light, doing so while the government is engaging in surveillance vicariously. And as I walk out, I'm documenting that ongoing terrorism. The entities engaged, and that is already on the record. So that's literally what you're going to play in a courtroom, what Salvador just said. And then you're going to recall the helicopter, the plane activity, the stalking with impossible light that's manifesting in the shade. And then you're looking at the substance, the purpose behind making such statements, including what the third party he's claiming, admittedly stating that they're stating that I'm recording them. And you're complaining while you're conspiring my murder and I'm not going to document you? Okay, that goes without stating. I'm documenting a malicious pattern of conduct, so I don't need to make these admissions. This documentation is relevant to your recognizing the malice of the government that is gang stalking you. In their alternate universe, where the gang members are creating what is reality, no, we're not gang stalking you, even under the fake sun, even when you have the helicopter activity, even if light is flying through this store, we're not gang stalking you. I'm not aware, I'm not stalking you, but I am also, I feel targeted because you're documenting me. This is the untenable position that the people of the state would make with these disingenuous statements. This is a vagina monitor that doesn't want to be identified. This is somebody that's actually a demon who is very scared. She knows I went outside and got her license plate. She knows that I got the fake sun. And then when I go walk down the aisle where she is stalking me, she came to the grocery store to stalk me. Remember who was in the wrong in the first place and everything that goes behind what they're doing, gang stalking. And then you make those statements. This is how you're diagnosing. This is how you're getting to, that's that psychopath. You did a whole lot to get to this circumstance, to be in my face, ask me a question you know the answer to. When you are nothing other than an aged, overweight, disfigured demon with a cursed womb, stalking me. Doing so on behalf of Stater Brothers, that's engaging in that demonic pattern. They gang stalk and harass you through the people of the state that are inside of the venue. Okay, somebody that's cussing you out outside, that person goes inside of the venue that's hostile to your documenting it, and they will gang stalk you while that third party that's had a previously violent encounter or violated you in some way, that's the third party that they're targeting you with. Okay, those are the tactics. I've documented that. They're going to prison. All the games that they play, they're not funny. The reward is prison. You're not getting out. I've been documenting for at least 8 years. You're not getting out in 6 months. You're not getting out in 8 years. They are going to prison. Period. This is showing how that system operates. This is showing the extent to which Satan seeks to conceal itself. Satan is not concealed. Neither are these demon-possessed people intelligent or clever or slick. Neither are they innocent. This is all manner of evidence of concession. You're always admitting that you're targeting, including while you come to me on the opposite side of a grocery store about something that's not even true. I've been in the position, I've never worked at a grocery store, but I've worked in customer service, and I'm not going to go and approach another customer unless I witness it myself. And this is also speaking to what is malice. Me being in mere custody of my phone is also insufficient, because the reality is that they're gang stalking. So you're engaging in gang violence, and you are seeking to target me and try to intimidate me out of documenting you. No, you're going to prison for that. And you're going to be ganged up on in prison. How about that? I guarantee you're not going to be treated nicely in prison. That's not me wishing it on you. You will be reaping what you sow in prison. And I'm not exaggerating, you're going to federal prison. The entity, this is Lupe that's pacing while Engineer Light is shooting across the ceiling. This is the same venue where Salvador Gomez is making that disingenuous statement with regard to monitoring me and threatening me. He's a hostile vagina monitor who knows that he's been documented and the entire venue has been documented, and the demons are engaging in that as a means of harassing while you're gang stalking at the same time. Okay, it's currently 7:28 a.m. where Lupe is over here by the wine and beer section, aisles 8. Over here where she's stalking in the past, she's not focused on stalking inventory. Okay, she's not focused on stalking the sangria. That's why the Engineer Light is fanning across the ceiling. And you already know that that's a reality because they're all over my documentation, my evidence that's on the internet. And that's the environment where Salvador Gomez is making that statement. And he is speaking and echoing the threats of the third party 8YNC 992, who comes to the grocery store focusing on me. That's very, very, very mentally ill behavior. It's also mentally ill behavior what Salvador Gomez is exhibiting. It's entirely malicious, it's psychopathic. You don't have it. Remember, the entity is always just focusing on the here and the right now. They are not thinking about the fact that it's going to be in court, what's already established, the disingenuous and malicious nature of what you're stating, and that's going to be before a judge that are also going to put it before medical. They're not thinking about any of that. They're not thinking about that. These are demons that are obsessed. Demons that chase me down into bathrooms. So they're not thinking about it today, but this is what's happening. They are going to federal prison, and so is Salvador Gomez. All right, this is P.O.C. I want to make sure that I document that. This is a threat that is published onto X, where they're engaging in surveillance. And after I publish that onto X, speaking to the threat that Stater Brothers is posing with that third party, who is speaking as a state, that third party is speaking as a state. It was enough for that third party in the environment, that's the government, that's conspiring your death, and then asking you, are you documenting me? That's the government. That's stalking you in helicopter, and then asking, obviously you know that I'm documenting you, big government stalking me in a helicopter. Why are you asking me that? What are you going to do in response to that? This is the entity that's relevant to all of the physical, actual, reasonable, psychological harms behind that. You're psychotic. You are psychotic. You got up out of bed to aid in surveilling me inside of the grocery store. All of the entity is following me around where I sleep, where I get up, where I'm walking, where I'm traveling, and I'm at the store. You scheduled to be here while I'm here so you can pace around me inside of the store. Thinking about my vagina, thinking about your cursed womb, wanting to be in my presence as a demon, worshiping me. And then you're hostile because I'm identifying you. This old fat white woman who's stalking a younger, black feminine. That's what you need to recognize. By the way, so you want to throw in demographics that are irrelevant. This is a demon in a fat white woman's body. She's old as dirt and she's stalking me. Okay? And this is the entity that's engaging in that together. As I publish that evidence on the venue of the internet, Salvador Gomez, who is monitoring, is coming and echoing and underscoring that threat. This is relevant to prosecuting Stater Brothers. Okay? They are already in a chokehold. I'm going to seek to prosecute this store so that it doesn't exist anymore, actually. I believe they're headquartered in San Bernardino and they are spreading out a little bit, but Stater Brothers is a terrorist and a sex offender, and you can see that they are also hostile. So there's no redeeming characteristics about this venue. They have not stopped engaging in the pattern of conduct upon being documented, so history will show them on the wrong side. They've been engaged in ongoing threatening conduct like you hear, like you're witnessing, like I'm documenting on a daily basis, doing so while they are violent sex offenders as well. This is the company. Stater Brothers is a person under the law, and I'm going to drag this person with regard to what is its criminal conduct and the civil damages that I'm entitled to while this person has been profiting from targeting me. And Stater Brothers is targeting while the fake son's over me at the venue, while the airport is stalking me at the venue, while the airport is stalking me in concert with that police department at the venue, while all manner of the municipality is targeting with that population at the venue, while I'm subject to the ongoing surveillance inside of the venue. Engineer Light, you don't have an argument. I'm going to prosecute Stater Brothers, and the goal is that Stater Brothers no longer exists. Okay? This is the P.O.C. That's justice, because Stater Brothers conspired my murder so that I would no longer exist. This is called a return to sender of your so-called humiliation ritual. The humiliation is that I'm going to prosecute you. I'm prosecuting you right now. You've just been diagnosed. Professionals are going to come behind me and make that a matter of record. You're on your medical records, but you're prosecuted already. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:32 a.m. It is, this is Stater Brothers that's engaged in surveillance on the internet. No warrant or probable cause to do so. They're engaged in surveillance inside of the grocery store where there is no warrant, no probable cause, no legitimate interest for Stater Brothers to do so on behalf of the government. And Stater Brothers is making money on behalf of the government, on behalf and in concert with the state that's sharing in that criminal system. And that is the unprecedented federal RICO case that Stater Brothers is one of the forefronts. It's Stater Brothers in Fontana. Okay, I'm documenting Stater Brothers targeting me in more than one city. Stater Brothers in Montclair, Stater Brothers in San Bernardino. Stater Brothers is engaging in a pattern of conduct. Salvador Gomez is making a fatal error in speaking. The entity that's gang stalking, not only should you not be engaging in the pattern of conduct with the government, that's very foolish. As you see their pattern of conduct, the government puts the people of the state in prison, puts them out of this country, gets them deported. Because the government that's gang stalking is always pointing the finger at the people in the same way that the people are pointing at the government that's acting directly. And that's the nature of the gang stalking system in the first place. You're pitting the demons against each other. But moreover, the pattern of conduct is shared, and the entity that's engaging in a shared pattern of conduct, Impossible Light inside of the Chino Stater Brothers and Impossible Light inside of the Fontana Stater Brothers, the fake son over me at the San Bernardino Stater Brothers on Kendall Drive, that's speaking to what Salvador Gomez is sharing in while he's speaking. I'm going to prosecute you for every syllable that just came out of your mouth. And I know you're not thinking about that right now, but you will be when you're in a cell, because terrorism is made up of this right here. Because the entity's doing this moment by moment, person after person after person, which makes up the entity, acting through the numerosity, the thousands of people that are targeting me on a daily basis, and they're all sitting around watching it, like they watch my vagina that's been put on the internet. And you have the audacity to ask me whether I'm documenting. Absolutely, I'm documenting you, Satan. And you're going to prison for asking me that. That's a government that's holding the proverbial gun to your head and asking you whether, are you going to tell on me? Do you have the audacity to be trying to tell on me while I'm trying to kill you? You're going to federal prison for that unlawful threat. You are a psychopath, and it is being exposed, and you are being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. whether you like it or not. It's 7:34 a.m. It is Thursday, February 26, 2026, and this is the Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt Boulevard inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This entire shopping center is sharing in that. This is the same shopping center where I'm showing you the entity, all manner of the City of Ontario stalking, the Golden Bear Inn across the street, the Starbucks across the street, the housing community on the opposite side. This is the relevant positioning. They're all monitoring together. The Safeco Auto LLC, they're all in relevant position together monitoring stalking. Okay, it's not just this grocery store. I show you what's going on from venue to venue to show that it is a ceaseless pattern of conduct, and it's the government that's acting through what they are referred to as the people of the state. And this is the Nephilim, okay, who cannot contend with Christ Jesus. You can't. And since you tried to and you are still doing that, I'm going to prosecute you in the physical with regard to what is spiritual judgment. All right, and you're going to regret that. Okay, it's currently 7:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. Airport is stalking, and the entity that's 8G35652 molesting me with light on the inside. The PA system that you hear is Stater Brothers monitoring, and they're right perfectly in the path with the entrance of the store, stalking where the airport has no flight from the terminals, engaging cartwheels at a low elevation in front of the Stater Brothers. This is relevant to Salvador Gomez. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. He's terrorizing and threatening me with the people of the state who are coming to the grocery store to engage in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder, not being customers that have any right to do so. You don't have a right to be engaging in anything, including grocery shopping, flying a helicopter or in a plane when it's serving surveillance or furtherance of murder. They don't have the right to do that. This is public corruption, and I'm going to prosecute, and this is the video evidence putting Salvador Gomez in prison. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 8:16 a.m. This is the same ambush conduct that I'm subject to every time I come to this store, by the way, while the entity is gang stalking me with the fat Caucasian female with the cursed womb stalking me, that she's parked right here. I took a picture of the fake sun that is here, and it's still here hours from now, like what I captured the other day at 10 o'clock, while you are stalking in the grocery store, and you're doing so when engineer light is present all over the store. The engineer light is also on the inside shade where her shadow is appearing right there. They're monitoring. This is the pattern of conduct. You're going to prison. And the entity, as I walk out, timing, that's tracking my steps. You also know they're tracking my steps because the fake sun is here. The airport is putting Salvador Gomez in federal prison. This unintelligent system that they're engaging in together is the same system whereby I'm going to put the terrorists in federal prison. They're going to be deported, and they're losing custody of children. Nobody that's gang stalking is safe around children. They're violent sex offenders, and they're engaging in psychotic things such as asking me whether I'm recording you when you're keeping my device under surveillance and seeking to murder me, and keeping my vagina under surveillance, such as stalking me in commercial planes when you have no legitimate interest in even spending that amount of money and following me around like the demons of the Ontario International Airport. You need to see the venue that's associated with terrorism. I'm going to shut down Stater Brothers with the RICO case against this entity. This is P.O.C. 646 West Holt Boulevard. You already know that the fake sun is here. I captured it at 10 o'clock. That's 2 hours from now. It's 8:17 a.m. The entity has a fake sun well after 10 a.m. You have Garterwell gang stalking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I captured that during daylight savings time. I have the evidence of the fake sun setting on this side of the parking lot. This entity's already surrounded. This is the foolishness with which the entity that is speaking is the entity that's going to prison. Okay, you are coming into the grocery store, waking up to come in and stalk me in the store, and then you're going to ask me a question you know the answer to. Because you are so psychotic, that's an unlawful threat. You're stalking me on behalf of the government that's using guns and exercising authority under the law that they don't have, engaging in what is stalking me and in order to kidnap me so that you can ultimately take my life. And then you're asking me questions while you're engaging in surveillance because I'm beating you at your own stupid, psychotic game, which is humiliating to you, by the way, not me. This is an employee as well, 7PLN467. He works in the produce. He's monitoring as well inside of that grocery store with regard to that malicious audible activity that you hear on the podcast. It's currently 8:18 a.m. This is the unintelligent system of gang stalking which I'm prosecuting. Flight on the inside while they're keeping me under surveillance. Gomez is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is amplifying plain activity inside of the library where Lindsay, the IT employee, tall white male, looks like he would be in the military. Engaging in surveillance, same placement of engineer light in the afternoon. It's just amber color. And remember, while it's outside, then it crawls into the side where they're all gang stalking. And the entity has the fake sun over the entrance. And it's also over the entrance at 1 on Sunday afternoons. It's also over the same venue as I'm aiming after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see that this guy's face stalking. All of them. With the city of Ontario that's maintaining plain activity over the library. Lindsay is a psychopath. This is pacing. They're acting like they're pacing. This is all pacing. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct. The Ontario International Airport monitoring my vagina. Maintaining surveillance in the bathroom. Sex offenders like Exhibit A. This is called surrounding. Okay, in the environment where the airport, there's no terminal. This is exactly what they're doing. Well, Salvador Gomez making those damning statements while the people of the state that are monitoring you and stalking you, threatening your life, conspiring to murder you with the state, is then going to ask you a question that they very well know the answer to, and which you are going to prosecute for even the question in the first place, because that's the government threatening you, engaging in that conduct, and they are the psychopaths who are stalking, acting like everything is normal. But the act is unpersuasive and it's also psychotic. All right, and they're also obsessive. They keep on stalking, because that's what this is. This is determination. This is impunity. I will not stop stalking. I will not stop following. I will not stop pursuing while the entity is engaging in that. And this is what the entity is doing. Employees like what the male in the blue shirt and what Lindsay is doing, what Taylor and Gregory are doing at the circulation desk, and all they're doing is pacing. That's exactly what he's doing. This is federal prison too. He's walking in engineer light with his communication device under the guise of, oh, I'm focused on the job and I'm pacing, going back, getting this is the P.O.C. All right, this is the engineered environment where they're monitoring, and this is somebody that's actually, he's got 3 shadows around. This is a demon. This is the environment where they're engaging in that. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. This is the same light activity inside of the bathroom. They're not focused on getting anything. They're focused on what I'm saying, what I'm doing, where I'm doing it. And it's surveillance. The engineered environment is conducive to that. Everywhere that I walk is relevant for positioning, so they're all able to surround. That's what relevant positioning is about. And while you're walking and getting anything and claiming to be on the job, you're going to be prosecuted for stalking on behalf of the state that is stalking on the outside of the library and amplifying it on the inside, while psychopaths like Taylor and Gregory and Lindsay are gang stalking with the patrons who are specifically in here to help them gang stalk me. Okay, under the guise of being employed at the venue, talking about the computer, talking about books, talking about the reservations for the conference rooms, and it's all audible activity. This is the evidence that's going to serve for what is diagnosing and having them committed, and also federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is systematic monitoring by the government. It's 11:56 a.m. The fake sun is already documented over the entry. I took a picture of it this morning. USPS is gang stalking entering. They're doing 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They're monitoring. It's a pattern of conduct. It's currently 11:56 a.m. All right, as I walk in and out, as I walk toward the entrance, they're coming in, engaging in anything. The USPS is going in the bathroom to maintain a method of presence. That's a stalker, a sex offending stalker. This is pacing all day long while they're coming in and out. They're all stalking. Okay, 280 North Lemon Apartments is stalking, knows exactly where I'm at, and the evidence of the fake sun is what is proving that. This is also serving to put Salvador Gomez in federal prison. This is the fake sun. This is where the airport is stalking. This is where they're tracking your steps. And a vagina monitor license 9GSJ155 is stalking me while the people of the state are acting cooperatively, coming in and out of the building all day long. And this fake sun is still here. And then it's low, shining on my face through the entrance doors, which is impossible light activity. This is P.O.C. where OPARC is engaged in the conspiracy to murder, and they do it with the developmentally challenged, and they do it in the face of the evidence. The evidence is going to show, the record is going to show how the entity is not only terrorists, but they're on the wrong side of history, being both terrorists and those that continuously and engaged in what is increasing their acts of terrorism while they were proven to be so, which the entity never anticipated, didn't plan for. That's why I'm embarrassing them so badly. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:57 a.m. USPS is in the bathroom stalking. This is how pathetic they are. That's the pattern of conduct. This is crossing path while I walk by, and the entity is maintaining presence inside of any and every room. That's the significance of being in an environment where your shadows surround you. But you're supposed to be ignorant about that, and you're not supposed to know that the demons are stalking you, because that's exactly what they're pacing. The OVITT Family and Community Library employees are going to be subject to mental examinations because the evidence is so heavy, showing their mental instability and their criminal conduct. P.O.C. Nine RPK 278 stalking with Amazon Prime Air. And remember the obvious impropriety, the illegality regarding hovering over a senior citizen complex. This is zoning provisions that the entity is in violation of, but they're in violation of federal law regarding federal stalking. You'll look at my images this morning. I captured the fake sun reflecting off of the same downtown Ontario luxury apartments while I stood in front of it. It is 4:40 p.m. This is impunity. 8ZCD454 is stalking under that fake sun, which is, again, not in Los Angeles while it's off of this building where the vagina monitored and public corruption, and doing so with minor children, doing so with the venue, which is the City of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, where sunlight is not reaching in and also reflecting off of the door, stretching outside and stretching inside. 64827H2. I just want to be clear, this light activity is relevant regarding the mental illness of the entity that is stalking, including using commercial planes. That is absolutely mentally deranged behavior. The entity's engaging in this environment. I want you to see my shadow. You see this? This is supposed to be my shadow, and that's supposed to be the sun over me. It's not. The fake sun was over me at the same entrance where Convergent was gang stalking yesterday morning, and where I'm walking to the same entrance in the entity OPARC, a bunch of demons that are developmentally challenged, which OPARC are their clients, making money off of using them to engage in federal stalking and furtherance of murder. They're gang stalking under the 10 a.m. fake sun, and that fake sun is nowhere. In fact, it's so close, it's reflecting off of the same building that I captured it reflecting off of this morning. Okay, it's currently 4, so let's 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 hours ago. It's not gone anywhere. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while Amazon Prime is engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's the Ontario International Airport. Okay, sitting inside of the library in the same engineered environment, walking in the same engineered light. That's what they're doing inside of the library. And exiting is this demonic pattern of conduct. These are demons that are not individuals. This is one demon-possessed entity, and they are together in sync, pacing all around me in the sky space. And you know that that's deliberate, as I've shown to you what is the fake sun. This is the prosecution of the entity, including Salvador Gomez, that are engaging in this pattern of conduct while also asking you questions that you know the answer to regarding documentation, which you are maintaining in order to protect yourself while this entity is conspiring your murder. You're doing so as a guise of monitoring and furtherance of that unlawful conspiracy to commit murder, and you're doing it while you're subject to what are ambushes. Let's be clear, this is 1 mile east of where the same airport is stalking over that Stater Brothers parking lot, stalking as I'm walking in and out of that entrance. And these sex offenders are touching my person with that which is engineer light. Okay, you're literally sitting right by this impossible light activity. This is a demon. That's a demon. The entity in the commercial plane, that's a demon. Everybody that's living here and walking around right now, they're demons, and this is the surveillance system. Okay? His shadow is going all over the place. That's how you know that he's mentally ill. That's a demon-possessed person. This is the conduct of the Nephilim. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's demonic. This is light activity that's not just impossible, it's a reference to the demonic. Demon. 58324E2. Demon, WTC 3626, Texas. This is the prosecution of OVITT Family Community Library, which is hosting the conspiracy to commit murder, keeping me under surveillance, placing sex offenders outside of the bathrooms to keep me under surveillance, that while they enter in the bathroom to keep me under surveillance, while that entity is stalking by plane and helicopter. Remember what Ontario police are doing yesterday morning? All right, this is the continuous pattern of conduct. That's ongoing evidence regarding the movie that the federal court are going to view to put them in prison. They're flying over this building during the 10 a.m. hour yesterday morning, and it is 4:43 p.m. and the fake sun remains here, not the natural environment. Studying their devices like demons in this environment. Nothing is happening. This is the P.O.C. This is public corruption, and they are watching. They are demons. This is the corrupt government. They are watching me prosecute them. That's even a federal offense as well. It is currently 4:43 p.m. This is P.O.C. Stalking, flying over the top of my head at the Ontario Town Square. Excuse me, the Ontario Town Square is over there. I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. And they're flying over the back portion of the library where I'm at. Okay? This is P.O.C. Everyone already knows the Ontario police is stalking me. I want to document this. This is going toward Mike Lorenz going to prison because that's where that fool's going. P.O.C. It's currently 9:19 p.m. They're monitoring. They're stalking with the Ontario police. And these are immigrants, candidates for deportation. If they are immigrants, they're monitoring with the entity that sounds helicopter activity while these cowards pace by. Operation of their communication device, engaging in stalking on behalf of the agency that's lurking in helicopters. And they do so while they are gang stalking an American citizen in furtherance of murder, and they go right back home with the rest of their night. This is gang stalking in California. This is a population that are in this country and they're not natural born citizens, and their privilege to be here is being revoked by the P.O.C. You are being federally prosecuted. You're being deported. While you're looking at the population in California, which is what these third parties represent, an entity of those that are speaking foreign languages, those that don't speak English, those that have been granted the privilege to be here, and they're engaging in domestic terrorism with the gang stalking police departments like the Ontario police. That's the pattern of conduct. And this is what the entity is engaging in as a system. They're walking in engineer light. Rewind the tape and you'll see his shadow in front, behind, and then it's swirling around his person. And they're engaging in this pattern of conduct with the gang stalking government, facilitating gang violence. It is indeed terrorism. And they keep my vagina under surveillance in that same convenient manner. Sex offenders, okay, that are homegrown terrorists, and those that are terrorists coming from other countries, and they are going to be deported right back to wherever they came from. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:24 p.m. The entity sounding helicopter activity, terrorizing me, harassing me, while the people are just stalking in plain view, conspicuous surveillance. And you saw the entity stalking by helicopter. They're doing it in concert with one another. And I want to be clear, these are demons that are obsessing. They want attention from me. This is how pathetic Mike Lorenz is. He's going to go to federal prison with his low self-esteem, with no money in his pocket either. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 10:25 p.m.